All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to compete at Unified MMA 48, and that all goes down on December the 16th. An intriguing bantamweight bout when Teshay Gouthro and Morgan Rhynes get out there to test skills, and happy to be welcoming Morgan onto the show. How's your day going so far, man?
My day's going good, man. How about yours?
I'm doing pretty all right. Can't complain, and a lot to talk about with this fight here, but I did want to touch on the last one briefly there. You got the unanimous decision win over Eric Wilson at FLA 3 a bit earlier in the year in April, and I mean, just kind of curious because it seemed like a pretty comprehensive performance there. You did it up at featherweight there. Like, what was your, I guess, big takeaways from that last fight?
Yeah, the last fight against Eric was it was a good one. It was definitely something that I needed at this point in my career. Eric's obviously a super tough guy with lots of experience, and he pushed me pretty well, and he took a lot of hard shots. He gave some hard shots, so no, I was happy to get the win, and it was a fun fight.
Yeah, and it seemed like there were some shout-outs to go around, like Professor Paul with, Wolf Run MMA there and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of curious. I mean, you strike me as a guy that's been working with, like, a similar team for a while now. Like, have you been getting, like, the work in with those same kind of, cast of characters, like Sean, Kyle, Tyler, all those guys?
Yeah, Paul Abel is obviously my head coach. I've been with Paul and Wolf Run MMA. Geez, since I started, I think I started working with Paul my last amateur fight, so he's been with me my whole professional career. And again, this fight, we're getting back to work, and we're about to do it again.
And I also saw Matt McGrath was a coach as well, and a lot of great training partners at, like, Henzo Gracie, PEI, so it seems like great work to be had all throughout there.
Yeah, I mean, PEI, the MMA and PEI is really starting to boom. There's several gyms on the island here with really high level instructors and also the fighters that are coming off, especially in the amateur scene. They're all doing well, and it's good. Like I said, the MMA scene in PEI is booming, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it seems like it's grown even in, like, a relatively short period of time, because I saw, like, a feature CBC News did on you about, like, how you wanted to compete in PEI, but not necessarily, like, an abundance of opportunity necessarily. Like, I feel like the gym culture has always been there, but, like, a place, like, rather a promotion like Fight League Atlantic seems to have been doing a lot to facilitate those guys getting out there to compete in a more localized kind of way, not having to, like, fly way across the country to do so.
No, exactly. Yeah, John and Derek are doing a fantastic job with FLA. They're giving island fighters, not just island fighters, maritime fighters, and actually I guess fighters all around Canada, they're giving them the opportunity to get in there and do some work. And it's great. It's being a fighter from the island definitely has its struggles. With us not being able to compete here, obviously makes it tough. Even in the Maritimes, like, you have Mike Williams with Elite One, and we used to have Peter Martell used to run a show, ECC, so we had some chances to fight on their shows, but they've been a little slow as of late, so it was like perfect timing for FLA to kind of step up and give all these up and coming fighters the opportunity to fight. So they've been doing an awesome job, and I look forward to seeing what they have in the future in store.
Yeah, likewise on my end, they've been doing a lot of great stuff, and we were talking about, like, some of the great localized work you're able to get out there, but I also saw you were at Tiger Muay Thai for a few weeks in Thailand there, like, you were out there for about a month. Can you speak to those experiences there? I would think that would really help with, like, leveling up and whatnot.
Oh man, it was an unbelievable experience. I originally started training in Muay Thai when I was about 18 years old, and a trip to Thailand to train was definitely something that I've always wanted to do. And just when COVID hit, and it kind of put a hold on the fighting here and the training, it just, I don't know, the timing just seemed perfect when I did decide to go. It was before the Eric Wilson fight, so it was a good time in my mind to go. And yeah, it was. Geez, the training was unbelievable. The amount of skill, obviously, that the Muay Thai fighters have in Thailand is just unbelievable. So yeah, it was good. It was good for me to get out of my comfort zone and just kind of go and train with other people and see really where their skills were, so I could really see where my skills could be. And yeah, no, it was great. I'm definitely going to go back. I was planning on going back early in the new year, but found out that one of my buddies is getting married in Mexico in March, so I kind of had to decide which one I was going to do. So I figured Thailand could happen at any time, but my buddy getting married in Mexico is only a one-time thing. So we'll put the trip to Thailand on hold, and we'll get back there.
And is that going to be the first time out in Mexico there, or has that stamp already been put on the passport?
Yeah, actually, my trip to Thailand was the first time I was ever outside of Canada.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was a pretty cool experience. It goes back to that comfort zone thing. It's the first time outside of Canada. I just kind of jumped on a plane by myself, went, had that experience, and definitely grew not only as a fighter but as a person as well. So it was good. And yeah, Mexico should be a good time too.
Yeah, I would think so, especially for that kind of event there. But I kind of get what you mean with, like, traveling after the, pandemic and stuff, and how good that can feel. I actually just got back from a recent, trip to Brazil. I was out there for about a month, and yeah, a lot of fun to just be able to do that and get a little slice of normalcy back.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah, you love to see it for sure, and everything like that. But, this upcoming fight is a very intriguing one because, you had indicated in, a social media post how massive of a show it is, and it being in the greater Toronto area, Unified kind of encroaching into that market for the first time. And I also saw you described it as the biggest fight of your career. Is that related to the opponent specifically? Is it related to some of the other earlier facets I outlined, like it being on UFC Fight Pass as well? I guess, why would you describe this as the biggest fight of your career?
I'd say there's a few different reasons. Teshay as an opponent would be one of them. Obviously, he's doing big things right now. He's 6-1 as a pro, and on Tapology, he's ranked as the #1 bantamweight in Ontario. So those reasons alone. Also, with it being in Toronto, being streamed live on UFC Fight Pass, obviously, is a pretty big deal. And just Unified MMA itself being Canada's biggest organization. It's, I just look at it as an amazing opportunity. And, I look at...
Yeah, for sure. And, has there been previous talks about fighting under the Unified banner at all? Or, was this a relatively recent thing? I guess, when did the bout offer and everything like that initially come your way?
I think this was the first opportunity that I've had to fight for Unified. Rob Beavers actually got a hold of me, and there was Rob and I have known each other for quite some time, so we've always been in touch, and we always had discussions about possible fight opportunities. But yeah, this one came up. I think we were about 9-10 weeks out. I was originally supposed to fight on the FLA card that was in November, and something had happened with the possible opponent. So I had assumed that we were just going to scratch that fight and kind of look for another opponent, or possibly just not be on the card. And then it was the next morning, Rob reached out to me and mentioned this fight to me. And it was actually a fight that I was interested in before it was offered to me. I always try to pay attention to the rankings and different matchups, and Teshay was definitely someone I had my eye on. I figured that it could be a good matchup, a good fight for me, and with his rank being so high, it made total sense. So when Rob got a hold of me with that offer, I was all over it.
Yeah, and it seemed to be among that initial crop of initially announced fights. I think it was among the first few fights that kind of dropped there. And yeah, when I saw that, I thought it was an exciting scrap for sure. So yeah, I'd love to hear the backstory on that. And I also got to talk to Teshay a little bit, and he's very much like locked in for this one and prepared and stuff like that. And I think he's like indicating a sense of like compounded motivation on your end and stuff like that. Like I think he realizes you're looking at this as like such a big opportunity, and that's also kind of inspiring his preparations as well. So yeah, no, it's a good matchup in a lot of regards like that.
For sure, yeah, I mean, exactly. I'm looking at this fight obviously as a huge opportunity, but going into this one, I almost feel like I have nothing to lose going into it. I feel like a lot of the pressure is going to be on him because he is ranked so high, and I'm assuming the UFC probably have some guys keeping an eye on him. So, and obviously that's another reason why I wanted to jump all over it too. But yeah, no, he's right. I'm excited. I'm eager to get in there, and yeah, like I keep saying, I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
And from what I can tell, he has like a pretty well-rounded game in a lot of regards. But like from your like more informed kind of perspective as a fighter, like what would you say he, I guess, does well in your estimation, like in terms of like his stylistic proclivities and things like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, he comes from Chris Brickett's gym, so obviously they have amazing grappling skills, wrestling skills. So originally when we started looking at this, we assumed that was going to be his main thing. He was going to be a wrestler, which I'm used to. I'm used to going against wrestlers that are looking for the takedown. But kind of as camp kind of went along, and I was watching more clips, my coaches have been watching clips, we realized that he's actually a pretty decent striker too. I originally thought that he started with wrestling, but I did find out that he originally started in kickboxing, actually. So he has a similar background to me. But yeah, no, obviously his grappling is going to be there. And like I said, he has decent striking too, good footwork. He's got a funky style. But yeah, no, he is definitely well-rounded. And yeah, I'm looking forward to testing myself against him. I really am, just with that high ranking that he has, the good gym that he comes from. I got a ton of respect for the gym that he comes from, his coaches, all his training partners. So I really want to see where I'm at. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and like in social media posts he's tossed up, and just even in kind of talking to him, it seems like his, I guess, idealistic outcome for this one is like scoring a knockout, like a big like highlight reel to end off the year type finish. To that point, like, do you have a certain ideal finish you're looking for here, or rather an ideal outcome that you're seeking, or just like kind of get in that flow state and whatever presents itself kind of thing?
My outcome is a finish. I don't care how it comes, but I have the same view on this fight as he does. I think that it could be a highlight reel knockout. And I guess when two guys both have that same idea, I mean, you're looking at an exciting fight.
Yeah, I even kind of got that sense in talking to both of you at this point. Like, there's that sense of like mutual respect and everything like that, but also like a sense of realizing what the other guy brings to the table, but really wanting to make that big impact. So I think it lends itself well. Like, it's one of those things where you don't need to have like a pronounced level of like, I guess, trash talk or banter or however you want to phrase it. It's just like the match kind of speaks for itself, and both of you guys are, you know, going to do what you do and try to implement your skills and all.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I've always been the type that, you know, I don't need to trash talk. He doesn't seem like the type that needs to trash talk. We're both pretty experienced guys when you look at our professional records along with our amateur records. And you kind of sometimes will pass that point where it's just like, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to go in there and we're going to scrap. Doesn't matter what's said, we're both going to come and try and take each other's heads off. So, I mean, nothing else has to be said.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, well articulated, no doubt. But I was noticing in one of your social media bios there that you were the head instructor at Moe's Martial Arts. And as much as you've talked about some of the people that impart knowledge to you and stuff like that, like how much does it further inform your understanding of, you know, different techniques to teach them to other people? I would think that would be the case.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. I mean, I try and tell the people that I teach too just the importance of the basics, right? Like whether it's basic footwork, basic punches, kicks, whatever. It's all about repping it out. And, you know, you get kids that come in and they're wanting to do all these spin, jump kicks, and I'll explain to them, now we're going to go over this basic stuff again. They're like, well, I already know that. But I tell them every time, like, just because you know it doesn't mean you're good at it, right? You got to keep repping it out. And I mean, when I get to teach these techniques over and over, it obviously sharpens my skill level up with each technique. So yeah, I know. I mean, it definitely helps when it comes to my game. And at the same time, like, I'm teaching them a lot, but I'm also learning from them at the same time. But yeah, no, it's a good connection.
Yeah, no, it's cool that you're able to do that, and I appreciate the insights there. But also something in that bio I noticed, like the first thing you had there was the fact that you're a father, and I think it's cool that you like seem to draw inspiration from that into the career as a fighter and whatnot. Like I know you have like an older daughter, but also like a pretty young little girl there, like a couple of months, I think, at this point. Is it kind of like a perfect storm of circumstance in that sense? Like you have such a big fight, and I mean, you're motivated individually, but I mean, you often hear about like fighters when they have kids that like even further, I guess, galvanizes that kind of resolve and drive.
Yeah, for sure. So my first daughter, Grace, she's 10 years old now, and we actually had her when I was going into my last amateur fight. So I had my last amateur fight maybe a month after, or 2 months after, which was actually similar to this time around. And like my last couple amateur fights, and then the first little bit of my pro career was when I was really on the rise, and maybe that did play a part in it, that little extra piece of motivation that I had. And yeah, now we just had I had another girl, Emery. She was born a little over 2 months ago. So yeah, it's kind of funny how that works. I mean, there is a huge gap in the ages, but it's kind of funny how that works. I feel like I'm at the same level mentally with my fight game now as I was when Grace was born, and I was on that little bit of a streak there. So yeah, I'm interested and I'm excited. The extra little bit of motivation that Emery has brought definitely helps. But baby or not, I'm motivated. I'm mentally into this. I know what I'm going to Toronto to do, and yeah, like I said, regardless of the baby or not, I'm coming to do my thing, and yeah.
And is it the first time out to Toronto? I mean, like you were talking earlier about the first time being out of the country, but in a localized way, is this like your first time being in like the Toronto area, or?
No, I have family actually from Ontario, so there's a couple times when I was a kid I went to Toronto. But as an adult, yeah, I don't think I've been there since I was younger. So yeah, I mean, I had a Muay Thai fight when I was younger in Ontario. I think I was 19, but yeah, this is the first time in Ontario in a while.
Yeah, and just kind of going back to like being a dad and just like martial arts experiences. I kind of saw you had a post a couple years ago where Grace was starting to get into judo and stuff like that. That must have made you feel really great to, you know, see her immerse herself in something like that. Is that something she's still actively doing, and can you speak to all that?
So the judo thing didn't last very long, and why I can't tell you. But she's been she started training with me when she was about 5 years old doing kickboxing. So she is still doing that. She is a part of the kids kickboxing program that I have, and we got a little gym set up at the house, so she's always hitting pads and stuff with me. But yeah, I mean, having her involved in that kind of stuff, I love to see. Not just because it's obviously good for you physically and mentally, but also the self-defense aspect that you get from, you know, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, whatever it is. It obviously builds confidence, and I believe that it's something that every kid should know anyway. I think every kid, especially girls, should know how to defend themselves. So if there's anything that I can teach her, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, for sure. And I love to hear that, and cool that she's on her own journey with that as well. And you've been really good with your time, man. It's been fun getting to talk a bit before this fight, but, in wanting to be mindful of your schedule and everything, is there, something you might want to add kind of as like a parting thought as we're sort of wrapping up here, man?
No, just want to thank everybody from PEI for all the support. Not just my team at Wolford MMA, my coaches, but also my sponsors. It's when you get into a training camp, it's someday it's not just a physical thing; it's a financial thing too. If you want to train at this high level, obviously all the help that you can get definitely plays a factor in it. So yeah, just thanking my sponsors, my teammates, my family, and my friends, just everyone that supports me. Since this fight was announced, I've had an overwhelming response when it comes to the support, and I just want to thank everybody that supports me.
Yeah, and this is going to be a great fight. Unified MMA 48 on December the 16th. Looking forward to being there and checking out such a stacked card. And this Teshay Gouthro bout, certainly an intriguing one amid a very, deep event and whatnot. And yeah, no, I appreciate you making some time to reiterate. And yeah, looking forward to being there again. And yeah, you have a good rest of your day, man. And looking forward to peeping the fight.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Toronto.